we open this for questions. We will have to wrap it up by 1, as I understand. So we would welcome brief questions, pointed questions where it is directed to the speaker. Not so much about the background, but the question per se. Thank you very much. Look forward to your cooperation. Just the elderly gentleman there. Yes, please. Can somebody offer him a mic, please?
Ma'am, there is a question, how the model is to be developed to bridge the gap of the rural area and urban area regarding the professional vocational training in coordination with the industry institute interaction.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for making it so crisp and brief. Do you have any particular speaker you are addressing it to? Professor?
The speaker from Germany, I don't know the name.
There are 2 of them from Germany.
Yeah, the already is one, the third one.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Professor, that goes for you. We'll take 2 more questions first. 2 more questions, please. Just a moment. Can I just look around? Yeah, the lady, I'll come to you, sir.
We have been talking about school education and TVET in 2 separate silos, I guess, for a very long time. And there needs to be a discussion on school to work continuum from the government. We have 25 million learners in school. If we are not going to be talking about the school to work continuum and as a, bringing in at that level, how do our learners even get to understand that? And there was a discussion on attitudes earlier. This is important that those mindsets are developed at that stage and not just with the learners, the educators and the parents as well. Yes. So is the government going to be doing something about this?
Thank you.
My question is to Dr. Khatri.
Dr. Khatri, thank you. Yes, please. I'll come to this side next. Yes?
Okay, good afternoon to all the panel members and didactic
the question, please. Yeah, we're short of time.
You said that in Germany, you done the concept cataloging very well. When we are comparing to the Indian situation, how the skill cataloging as well as the workspace cataloging done in Germany. So our volume, our demographic and geographic profile is like that. That's why I'm asking this question.
Is the question clear? Can you repeat your last part, please?
So you said about the concept cataloging is done for the future skills and skilling. But how can we do the workspace cataloging? Because the demographic thing or the population of India is very well. When we comparing to the student population, it is very high.
Yeah, sure.
So how can we do the concept cataloging as well as the skill cataloging?
Okay. Good.
Is there any model in Germany for that?
Okay, thank you very much. One last question on this side. I'll have to take the last one. Yes, please. He was already there. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. This is Dr. Guru from Amrutwani College of Engineering, Sangamner. My question is that, ma'am, every country is having their own story. And for them, whenever we are at a common dais, it becomes a local truth. Means it is applicable for that country, that model, that aspect and all those. But can't we design, my question is to all the panel members, can't we design and develop the simple mechanism, it will be applicable right from the schooling education to the higher education? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for keeping it brief. Ma'am, I'll come back to you if there's time towards the end. Yes, please. Over to the panelists. May I ask one of you to start, please?
I would like to address 2 of the questions. First, the ma'am you have raised regarding the role of the government to create the mindset and the school to work continuum. My humble submission, ma'am, I have served the government of India and the state government for 33 years. Perhaps I realize that government is not the only stakeholder and not the institution which has the capacity to change the mindset of the particular set of community. It's one of the stakeholders to support the civil society as well as the industry to change the mindset. Even today, if you recall, the parents want their children to become engineer or a doctor. And the maximum money is earned by the schools which offer the integrated course at the 9th and 10th level so that the children can pass the engineering or the medical exams. So we all have to work together and government has to play the role of a facilitator. The second question was on the rural and urban model, which I request, sir, would you like to address? Because I appreciate that there are constraints of the industry presence in the rural areas, and there are capacity constraints with the MSME, and agriculture-related courses may be more relevant, but we will find some constraints. There was another question on designing a very simple and mechanism for local and global issue. Sir, I would again repeat the sentence which Dr. Nandini said, that one solution will not fit everybody. When our thought process has to be global, very simple. For example, the model, dual model says that your learning cannot be only in the institutional school, it can happen at the industry also. So the essence, it should be global, but the focus or the implementation strategy has to be local. Thank you.
Can I request one of you to please answer? Mr. Falkar, I think there was a good direct question to you.
I must admit I have not understood all the details, but Dr. Khatri, you have mentioned something very valid already. I mean, there might be, at least in India, there might be a slight difference between urban and rural areas, but I think it's a matter of time, and that time will come that a lot of rural areas will be also closer to industrial entities. I mean, we are here in Bangalore, and we can just look a little bit into across the border into Tamil Nadu. We see a lot of electronics industries is suddenly coming up, which was not there a couple of years back. So opportunities are rising, opportunities are increasing, and the distance from rural areas to a bit industrial areas is shrinking. So I think that is a matter of time in overcoming the hurdles. But there's no difference. The standards should not be changed, whether we talk about a rural area or urban area or underdeveloped, future ready developed, the standards should remain the same. What may change or what may differentiate those areas is a different offering, of course, in terms of what programs are available. I mean, in Germany, when we go rather also we have rural areas, then the offering would be still a lot of traditional trades, carpentry, hairdressing, cooking, you name it, forestry. So there's a slight difference in the offering of rural areas and of well-industrialized areas. And the same may apply to other countries around the world, that the offering may change, but the standard remains the same. I think, sir, you had also mentioned the companies, and I think we also need to support the companies. When we talk in particular to medium-sized companies, a lot of them are not ready to host students. They are willing to spend money, but a lot of response from those companies is they simply don't know how to host students. And when you look into German companies, all German companies who are involved in offering dualistic apprentices programs, they have special mentors. They have qualified people from shop floor to office to top floor, whereby these are the apprenticeship mentors who take care of apprentices, who take care of even interns. And I think this is something which companies need to understand. We need to have those specially trained people who can really manage interns, who can manage apprentices, and that's completely different from a normal employee. But I think this is something we also need to address in terms of qualification. And these are those skill mentors inside the companies. And this is also a very critical position. When students are coming, apprentices are coming, there has to be a plan, there has to be a structured way how to take them into the processes, and then we can also convince the companies that they are beneficial for the company. I mean, that's exactly what it has to be, what has to be pointed out. Interns, the one we manage, and apprentices that we manage, they are beneficial for us. Of course, we are investing money, but at the same time, that's a return of investment. They are beneficial for our processes internally.
Thank you. Can we request Mr. Koslitz to give his thoughts on this? We would like the concluding remarks from our stalwart. Would you like to add some insights? Okay. There is just one. You have still something? It's just one more question we'd like to, yes. That's the last question, please. Please hand over the mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My question is very short. I'm from K-12 school, and in continuation with what ma'am said and what sir said. Sir, my only request is, if the government makes it a point to tell all these higher education institutions to give value to that grading which comes to all the skill education in the school, then the rush for the marks will come down. Parents will support the schools in giving this kind of skill education in the school. Then the balancing will happen, sir. Today, there is a huge gap between what is the school trying to do, what is required outside. Ultimately, the marks are mattering, so nobody is listening to us. If this can happen, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice question. So would you like to? Yes, yes. I now request our senior most panelist, Professor Eftenakis, to give his final remark, concluding remark on the panel, and also possibly address her question about skills in school.
For each country, it makes sense to establish a strong vocational education, not only for the industry, but also for the children, for the students. Because students in Germany, about 60% of the students don't go to the university. They visit the vocational education because it is a better area to learn and to develop there. So, if one country would like to do so, it makes sense to organize 3 debates. The first debate is focusing on the education system, how to organize it, how to transfer it into the digital area, what is the importance of vocational education within the system, and how to introduce new concepts in order to make the system more efficient. The second is focusing on the role of industry within the society. In Germany, it is well known the industry doesn't offer only jobs, but it is part of the education system. The industry invests in the education, and here I think in India is necessary to rethink about the role of this economy, of this industry within the society. And the third debate has to focus on the society itself. What is the acceptance of vocational education? Many parents don't accept to send their children to vocational education because they think it is not so important like the academic career. Here to understand that vocational education offers a lot of chances that are equal, that are as important as the academic career. That is a question of the evaluation on the level of the society depending vocational education. These 3 debates had to be organized at the same time. And that is a question of policy, how to implement a new concept in the education system. I have experience for 30 decades how to change the system, how to implement new concepts, how to go into the system and changing from inside the system at all. So this knowledge is necessary in order to establish efficient strategies how to introduce a new part in the education system, how to develop the system further, and how to do so in acceptance with the society, with the parents. That is a big work, but it is possible. And I think here we can exchange our experience and helping each other how to do that. Each country needs its own education system. As my colleague said, we cannot transfer the German model one-to-one in India. That is not possible, and that is not indicated. More indicated is using the philosophy of this education system, using the technology and the experience to adapt this system into the situation here in India. Thank you for inviting me and my colleagues to be with you. Thank you.
I think this is one of the finest conclusions of the 1-hour debate that we've had. And for someone of his expertise, bringing it down, narrowing it down to 3 very major issues and major aspects of the discussion is nothing surprising. He has so beautifully said, and he's concluded as 3 debates that we should look into, and how the education system needs to be addressed very expeditiously, and what it can do to society, what is the role of industry, and why can't industry play a very, very active part, possibly through the Board of Studies and the curriculum and various other training and mentoring and investing above all, is a very important question that we need to ask as a nation, and a very thought-provoking question. Can't we treat vocational education on par with conventional education? And there comes in the mindset aspect. So on that note, I think each one of the speakers has given their perspective in the most wonderful way, and this is a magical session that has happened just now. I would just like to conclude with one thing that Dr. Khatri just mentioned a little while ago, that I think the takeaway for all of us is we are on a platform, an international summit, and different experiences have come in, people have come in with very rich background. You are a very learned audience, and a lot of debate, a lot of deliberations have happened here. At the end of it, the learning and the synergizing has to be the outcome of this session, or every session, or the ties itself, I would think. So we are all lucky to be here, part of this wonderful experience, and we need to think globally and act locally, as Dr. Khatri very rightly said. Each one of you has asked wonderful questions too. I would request the gentleman to also look up the MES and NSQF. A lot of work has been happening in India. Just want to mention that most of the skills that we're looking at usually look at the technical side, but there's a lot of work happening on the non-technical side as well, which is of course not Germany's expertise, but then certainly when you're talking of the digital space, areas like the retail sector, the telecom sector, and the outsourcing industry, and a lot more is happening, contributing more and more to global GDP and global foreign capital movement. So we think that with all this and with all these inputs and the learning, somewhere down the line, this will all translate into some directives that the ties will end up offering policymakers in India with, and whatever the outcome is, the credit goes to all the panelists who've traveled all the way, especially to address all of us this morning. Thank you very much, everyone, for your wonderful participation, and especially a warm thanks to our panelists. We feel deeply privileged to have you here as part of this panel. And I personally feel very privileged to be here. Thank you.